The record that I picked is There's a Riot Going On by Sly and the Family Stone. Voila. Not sure if this is the original cover or not. I think there's been a few different ones. Anyway, I think I heard this record the first time. It's pretty murky. When I was in one of my early bands, the Bourbon Tabernacle Choir, and we would go to the drummer's house was where we jammed. His dad was a lawyer, but his dad really wanted to be a musician. So his dad actually had a room that was like kind of like this, like just filled with vinyl. And that was the first place where, you could drink and the parents were there and it wasn't a problem. And so it's kind of a thing. And I heard There's a Riot Going On there. And everyone thinks of Sly Stone. Non-music geeks think of Sly Stone as his image from I Want to Take You Higher and Woodstock and this type of that version of Sly Stone. The black dude who was actually celebrating late 60s hippiedom and we can all come together and those things that were actually real, we got to live together, like those are real messages that he wasn't just cashing in. I know he really felt those things, you can tell. But the Riot Going On, Sly Stone is a very different person and the music is extremely different. So you hear a thread coming out of the stereo when you're at Gregor's house and instantly something's itchy and something's wrong, and what is that? That's kind of where I first heard it.
I had such an adverse reaction when I first heard that record too. Like, not what you had. I had the opposite reaction. My brother loved. It took me years to fall in love with Sly and the Family Stone, and when I did, it was profound. But I remember thinking it was like shambolic and chaotic, and I just didn't understand. I mean, now I would guess I would call it production values, but at the time I was like, what's that noise? And like, why couldn't they decide on who's gonna sing when? Like, it really irritated me, and I couldn't understand why my brother was so into it. And then like one day, it wasn't the Family Affairs on what record? It's on this one. One day something just happened, and I was like, this is perfection. Both lyrically and sonically.
Yeah, lyrically, it's an insane record, and it's a record that you put up, you put yourself against when you're writing lyrics, because it's deeply personal, but it's also, the politics or the implicit politics are very direct. And that's what I'm always striving for.
I chose Ellen McIlwaine's We the People, and she isn't very well known, which I think is really unfortunate. She's so powerful, and I remember the first time I heard her, my brother was really influenced a lot of what I listened to when I was younger, because he was older than me and really curious. And my mom, when I was a baby, my mom worked at a record store in Montreal called Cheap Thrills, and she could just take home, well, that's what she said, she could take home as much as she wanted, or maybe she bought it, I'm not sure, but I grew up with this like wall of vinyl. It was just like, depending on how short I was at the time, was immense. And over the years my brother would just sort of like mine that wall, and then one day he put on Ellen McIlwaine, and it was so unapologetic and raw that I had like that similar kind of like slight aversion reaction. Like her singing is incredibly varied, and she has an amazingly strong voice, and she just does it. There's nothing polite about what she does. She plays a guitar really intensely. She yodels. She sings in languages that are not her native language. And it was so engaging, But she's amongst a few women that I keep as kind of people that kind of keep me on the path of how I want to present music, with Lassa de Sala being another one.
Everyone talks about how this record sounds like there's a blanket thrown over it, because it's so murky and muffly, and all the sharp brightness that we're used to from Sly Stone isn't there. It's all fuddy and murky, and it's super funky without with no celebration. And In the Pines, our In the Pines has a, out of necessity, because we record on a laptop and with no gear, nothing, has a murkiness and sonically a murkiness definitely to it. But this record, There's a Riot Going On, is just one that it always works.
It's like garlic.
It's like garlic.